Reporter Mbongeni Muthwa to discuss this further. Thank you very much for joining us, Mbongeni. Looks like not everybody's on the same page regarding the way forward for state-owned enterprises to privatize them or not.
Well, this issue of privatization is not new. It's been with us ever since the dawn of democracy. Cosatu has always been opposed to it. But I think what's happening at the moment is that there is not just a renewed talk of privatization, but government seems to be determined and serious about acting on this. 2 weeks ago, as you remember, there was a bit of a storm in a teacup when it emerged that there had been a meeting with Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan, senior ANC leaders, and the CEO of Eskom to talk about privatizing Eskom. And it was reported that in that meeting, Pravin Gordhan pushed very hard that government should privatize as much as 49% of Eskom, just sell it to private investors. So also there's been meetings apparently with CEOs, Pravin Gordhan again, according to reports, again the issue of state-owned enterprises, what should be done with them. Some CEOs apparently there suggested that you need private business people or even CEOs to be parachuted into the boards of parastatals and so on. So parastatals are at the center of the government efforts right now to revive the economy and most importantly to prevent the country being downgraded to junk status as early maybe as next month or so.
Mbongeni, look, there are various views in which people look at the benefits of privatization of state-owned enterprises. Others would have a capitalistic view, saying that if you privatize, you're going to bring about accountability, efficient and effective management, and you're going to have processes involved of day-to-day running of these state-owned enterprises being run in a manner in which private sectors are run, and they would come up with good numbers when they report financially every time they have to issue annual results. Is this view being taken into account by other stakeholders in this?
Well, organized business is pro-privatization. Labor, that is unions, are opposed to privatization. Like everything, there are pros and cons to every action or decision. As you saw in the clip, there's a spokesperson of Cosatu saying that, privatization is not new. You've had ISCO back in the early 90s, which was privatized, sold to now it's ArcelorMittal. You've had Sasol, it was wholly owned it was started by the government actually, and then it was privatized. We've had Telkom, a state-owned enterprise that was partially privatized. It was listed on the JSE and is still listed. The problem arises, you can get efficiencies if you privatize SOEs. You get them in the hands of privatizers and they are managed strictly according to professional and business principles and so on and so on. But whenever you privatize a state-owned entity, inevitably there's massive retrenchments follow, because most of them, actually, if not all of them, part of the inefficiencies is there's a lot of people who are employed there who maybe are not, properly qualified for the positions they hold. They are bloated, basically, the workforce and so on. So the first thing that the private investor will do is to knock them into shape and people lose their jobs. Issues of prices, there is no social conscience. If prices must go up, prices go up, and most of them provide social service and so on. So politically, it's a big problem. And you see this by the fact that this report of the committee was finalized and submitted to the president in 2013, but it's been kept secret. At some point, according to reports, it was supposed to be tabled and discussed at the ANC NGC, for instance, but at the last minute, that did not happen. Now, government President Zuma in the State of Nation address last week said, we've got this and we're going ahead with implementing it.
Let me interrupt you very quickly.
of...
Just before you go, you talked about privatization of SOEs on the downside, the disadvantages that may come, job losses, etc. Now, let's look at the benefits. Is this not a positive move in terms of public-private partnership if the government owns a larger stake and then private companies owning part of them, and then those SOEs being listed at the JSE? Just very briefly before you go.
The main benefit, especially right now, that would be derived from privatizing SOEs, partially or otherwise, is the injection of private capital. So government simply does not have the money to bail out SOEs or to pump money into them, or even to continue giving credit guarantees against which they can borrow. So that option has been eroded. So basically for survival, you need capital injection, and that money must come from somewhere. And right now the option is to get the money from private investors.
Wow, this is very interesting. It needs 30 minutes. And another 30 minutes for the callers to call in and ask questions.
That's going to continue for a while.
Yeah, it's a debatable issue. Thank you very much, Mbongeni. I'm speaking here to Mbongeni Muthwa, who's been covering the story on privatization of a state-owned enterprise. Quite interesting indeed. On to other